I think the best way to think about private cellular networks is to take the private part out and think about cellular networks that we're all used to, that we all use cell phones and ride around town and out in the country, and we see these cell towers, and we know that we have what's called a macro network. And that cellular service provided by Verizon, T-Mobile, AT&T, and dozens of other smaller ones is the same 3GPP technology that they use to build those nationwide macro networks, mainly outdoor, has been shrunken down and ruggedized for industrial use cases and for private use cases. So think of a macro network being shrunk down into a warehouse or a distribution facility or a refinery campus, so that the system is not open to the public. It's open to only people who own the network, allow onto the network. So that's the big difference. Not only is it smaller and ruggedized in most cases, but the owner of the facility owns this network. It's not Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile's network. They decide who gets on it, whose SIMs are activated, and even behind the scenes, those people can be sliced into different categories and get access to specific pieces of that network. So for example, if you had, at a refinery, if you had a plant turnaround and you had a couple hundred construction workers that were going to be in and out of the facility for a few months, you could give them access to the private cellular network to specific applications that are in that, so they can have access to those, but they can't see other data or other elements in the network that maybe the owner doesn't want them to see. If they're working work orders and executing on permits, that may be the only app they need to see, and so they could limit that by slicing the network. So think of private cellular as the miniature version of what you see and have known for decades in terms of a macro network, but it's smaller and you own it. You decide who is on it. You can manage the network. You decide if you want to expand it. All of that is on you. Well, I think the reason PCN is getting a lot of attention now is there's a lot of companies out there as AI starts to advance and as manufacturing and other industries are always looking for ways to pinch pennies, drive efficiency, drive safety, drive speed in their operations, increase production. All those things are what all the companies are looking at. They want to use AI to do this. They want to use automation to do this. So that's a lot of what drives the initial discussion, because they've kind of, in many cases, they've kind of pushed Wi-Fi to the edge of its limits in terms of its ability to execute seamless handoffs, the latency requirements of some of the robotics and sensitive manufacturing information. Wi-Fi simply doesn't get the job done and doesn't give them the 5 nines or more that some of these operators are looking for. A lot of the interest has come because our customers have worked with primarily public carriers. And so they have to buy plans, they have to pay for data, they don't control the network, they don't have direct control over who gets on the network or who gets access to it. And if there's problems with the network, it depends on which operator, how quickly and how well that gets fixed and how fast that happens. And so that drives a lot of interest in private cellular, because our customers like the ability to have control. Control is a key thing. And in industrials in particular, the number one concern they have on almost 100% of the cases is accessibility to the network. And they want that system up and constantly running and having no problems, because any 1 minute, 1 hour of outage can cost them thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they're interested in that robustness that Wi-Fi and other technologies don't necessarily offer the way private cellular can. Private cellular is 3GPP standard. So it's a giant global standards body that's created everything from the security to the protocols of handoffs, the deterministic nature of the network that gives those networks more robustness by nature and better security by nature than traditional Wi-Fi or other mechanisms used for broadcasting connectivity within a facility. Technically, there's a number of differences. types of devices that can use Wi-Fi versus PCN. That's evolving. The device ecosystem is starting to move ahead quite rapidly to develop 4G and 5G and CBRS capability. And so as those things start to come along, you see the customers going, what am I missing? What am I not looking at? And they know that they've got limitations on Wi-Fi. We've all used Wi-Fi. We've used Wi-Fi in here today and had challenges. And you think about a manufacturing environment or a distribution center environment, they can't afford to have half the people running around for half the day unable to get onto the Wi-Fi network or having to tether to a handheld just to muddle through their day. They need it on and they need it robust. And so the biggest difference for me in PCN in that environment from a customer perception standpoint is reliability and control. I see Wi-Fi, and most people see Wi-Fi as a best effort type solution, meaning you put the system up, you light up the broadcast in the either 2.4 or 5 megahertz, and you get what you get. With private cellular, there's an SLA. There's a grade of service that's part of 3GPP that makes sure these systems are more reliable, and they're not a best effort solution. They're a premium solution. It's designed to work. It's designed to work in a 5 nines metric. So 99.999% of the time on. So it can be off a few minutes a year is acceptable. With Wi-Fi, they will not tell you they can give you a 5 nines network. And they cannot in most cases. There's a lot of noise in the market. There's a lot of people competing and selling different products. Wi-Fi products, DAS solutions, very active and passive DAS, private cellular, neutral host systems. There's a lot of noise in the market, kind of like in RF, right? When your signal to noise ratio is too high, your noise floor raises, you create interference. Same thing happens from a marketing standpoint. And so what you see a lot in marketing is, oh, a Wi-Fi access point costs X dollars and a PCN access point costs Y dollars plus N dollars. It's orders of magnitude more expensive. But what they fail to get across is you need 10 or 20 even to 1 number of access points to cover the same area with the same kind of performance. So the math that's being portrayed in the marketing world is, oh, a Wi-Fi AP, you can buy those at Best Buy and slap one up in the roof and you're off and running just like at your home with your router, Wi-Fi router. PCN's not like that. PCN you can do, and the last one that we put together, we had 3 APs compared to 44 Wi-Fi APs. We modeled it both ways. The same facility, the same exact use cases. We modeled it, we get 3 PCN APs and 44 Wi-Fi APs. Now the price of the APs obviously is less for PCN when you're only doing 3 compared to 44, but the other element that's missing from that story is the cost to mount them, power and cable them, maintain them. All of that is step level increases in cost. You got to do that 44 times instead of 3 times. You have 44 runs of Cat 6 going back to some sort of central switch area. So all that cable running and all that labor that's associated usually doesn't get thrown into those marketing pitches. And the customers are starting to realize this, that they, like I said before, they've started to realize there's limitations on Wi-Fi and what they can do in terms of automation and efficiency initiatives, robotics, connected worker, super high-end safety connected worker elements, and also the sensors, PLCs and sensors on a line. Those things need to have instant connectivity, or SCADA systems, for example, in a SCADA environment. That system has to be up and running. They can't have it flopping off the air and not be able to see their SCADA systems. If you go to a typical oil refinery, you'll see, in many cases, you'll see a bike rack outside of the command center and outside of most of the buildings. That is so the individuals on the plant can grab a bike and ride a bike out to go check on a problem or work on a maintenance ticket or check on a sensor that's maybe offline or giving them interesting readings. They're actually riding a bicycle out into the refinery in their steel-toed shoes, hard hat and glasses and fire retardant gear. They're riding a bicycle out there to do that. and taking a picture or writing down what they see, riding the bicycle back to the command center, typing something in, well, they can see automatically how inefficient that is. Well, if he's out there real time and on a PCN network with a connected tablet, he simply shows the supervisor right then and there while he's doing the work. Here it is. Here's this side. Here's this side. Here's the top. Oh, you want to see underneath? You want to see? Here's underneath. So they get a real-time punch out. And people think, oh, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, if he doesn't have to ride a bike 30 minutes, doing both directions and manually input information or redo the work and go back out there and do it, that saves them lots of time. And these things happen all day, every day at these plants. So it's not once in a while. These things are repetitive and ongoing tasks. So if they can shave those down by 50%, 75%, make it so it's much faster for them to do that, it's not only safer for the worker, it's faster for the company, and they can increase production and get more utilization out of their workers and generally drive efficiency. Personally, having been in INS for a year, the biggest impact I see is towards efficiency and automation initiatives for our customers. That's generally the number one reason they're talking to us about PCN, is they're trying to do things to automate their system, whether it be automatic vehicles, whether it be a difficult environment they'd like to keep human beings out of if they can, and they can use a robot or a camera to do it. Anything they can do to drive efficiency is big. Anything they can do to drive worker safety is a huge, huge issue in these industrial environments. Those are the two big drivers. First and foremost, what people realize right off the bat is they have control of it, and they like that, and they see that right off the bat. When we do our site acceptance test and are working with the people that are going to be looking at the orchestration mechanism, the network management system, and they see what they can do, and they see how they can provision SIMs and allow people on and off the network, they love that piece. It's control. But the most practical thing that they see right off the bat is efficiency. Just immediate efficiency. Things take less time. Things that are normally labor intensive or time intensive get greatly reduced. And I'm talking orders of magnitude, 50% and better. And you're talking about that in an industry where 5% improvement in efficiency makes huge difference. And if you can go in and save half the time it takes to normally do a task, they realize that very quick and see it very quick. So efficiency, I would say, is the number one driver right off the bat. I think going down the road, what we're going to see is improvements in that efficiency as we get more into automation and more into robotics. We start seeing things like data centers. You've probably heard and seen in the press. Data centers want to go dark, so no human beings in the data center. So what's going to be there? Well, there's going to be robotics, there's going to be maybe security dogs, robotic security dogs, there's going to be cameras and heat sensors and motion sensors. All those things can be connected over a PCN network very easily and for far less cost and complexity than a Wi-Fi system. I think one of the big things INS brings to the table is our commitment and habitual diligence around the discovery phase in the sales cycle. The very upfront piece of the sales cycle, making sure that we're doing ready, aim, fire. Not fire, ready, aim, no variation. Ready, aim, fire. So that upfront ready piece, we call it discovery in INS lingo, is to me the most important piece, and where INS brings the people with the experience, hands-on experience in the environment, go in and ask questions and listen to the customer's problems and their issues and understands all the different variable options that are available to solve those problems and can articulate the pros, cons, neutralities between these disparate solutions and talk a customer through it. Having that discussion up front and incorporating that into the design effort and in the discovery phase of a PCN deployment is a huge difference I've seen at INS compared to other places where I've worked, where it's do a desktop design, put the APs or the access points, the radios where you want them, make the optimal perfect design if you had the choice, and then send it to the customer. And 9 times out of 10, that has to iterate 2 or 3 or more times. If you do it up front and you do it live, you can avoid a lot of that heartburn. And as I mentioned, customers like having input into these things. They don't want to be told, they want to be listened to.